And if you don't prioritize, it was not at all what I expected. Networking event here, a gala there, a coffee chat here, a dinner there. No one actually cares. You can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And I met some really incredible people from around the world. My name is Sanjana, and I just spent $200,000 on an MBA program. During these last 2 years, and I can finally sit here and reflect on it now that I've graduated, I still can't believe that happened. Over these past 2 years, I got to trek the Atacama Desert with the first Chilean woman to summit Mount Everest, Pachi Ibarra. I traveled to 10 countries in 6 months. I explored VC, product management, took my first solo trip to Bali where I got scuba certified, and learned what a tagine is during my Morocco trek. It's been an intense, immersive experience, but honestly, you guys, it was not at all what I expected. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 3 biggest lessons I wish someone had passed down to me before I had applied for or considered getting an MBA. Whether you're applying or already in the middle of your MBA experience or about to start this fall, first of all, congratulations if you're doing any of these things. It's not an easy decision to make, and it's a big step for sure. And so let's get into the video. Here's something they don't put on any of the brochures and what they don't tell you when you actually show up for campus tours or visits or any of that kind of stuff. No one actually cares if you get an MBA. I mean, at least not in the way that you think they will. Sure, it might look shiny on your LinkedIn, it's going to be a line on your resume, and it's going to be something that you have that is a part of your background and that shapes who you are for the rest of your life. There's no denying that. Yes, there is the dopamine hit of telling people that you have an MBA, especially if it's from one of the top 3 programs or a well-recognized MBA program. But you guys, honestly, after that, it fades, and it fades pretty quickly. And it's actually really humbling when you start your first job after an MBA program and you realize, yeah, on a day-to-day basis, objectively, no one cares. And guys, the truth is, the way I landed my current job was actually coming back to work for someone that I worked for before I went into my MBA. That's right. And yes, there is value in the network of an MBA, and I've heard this firsthand from alumni that I've spoken with. But at the end of the day, it doesn't erase the network that you bring into the program when you actually come into it. It doesn't erase the value of that, because that network is still your responsibility to maintain once you've graduated. You know, and in case you're new here, I went to Wharton to reflect on my own time in the program. And so I have to ask myself, did I truly need Wharton? And the answer is no. I'm glad I did it. I had all of these incredible experiences. I met some really incredible people from around the world. And it was also just a great time to step away from a full-time job and have time to reflect and really think about the kind of life that I want to build and what my values were, and invest in some of the non-professional experiences, ironically enough, even in a professional or what is conventionally marketed as a professional program. And I wouldn't change that for the world. But if I truly think about whether I needed a Wharton, the brutal truth is no, I didn't. And guys, the truth is, unless you're making a hard pivot into investment banking or consulting and transitioning into big tech, or you're looking into a role where pedigree truly still matters, at the end of the day, most people just care if you're good, if you're competent, if you're trustworthy, if you can think critically, and if you're someone people want to spend time with on a team. At the end of the day, that's kind of all that matters to be good at a job. So here's the real value of an MBA. First, it gives you time to zoom out. Second, it gives you people. In just these last 2 years, let's do the math for the Wharton MBA program. There's roughly 850 people in each class. In your class alone, when you first come into the program, there's another 850 people in the year above you. And then when you become a second year, there's about 850 people in the year before you. And so 850 times 3, that's like 2.4K people that you're exposed to within just these 2 years alone. And so you're exposed to working and talking and engaging with all these different personalities. And I think one of the biggest things an MBA gives you is honing your intuition about people. Can I trust this person? Do I want to potentially work with this person in the future? And I think you get a lot better at actually reading people just by the sheer volume of people that you're exposed to. And what an MBA also gives you is it gives you frameworks for thinking about how to make decisions, which brings me to my second lesson that I wish someone had told me before I had started my MBA experience. Spending money during an MBA is like pouring water into the sand. The next thing you know, there's a whole puddle that's formed and your jug is empty. The truth is, when I started my MBA, I thought I had a financial game plan. I'd worked in finance. I had worked in literal business operations at a high growth startup. I'd helped businesses cut costs, scale operations, and optimize performance. Guys, the truth is, no amount of Excel had prepared me for the true financial cost of getting an MBA. At first, it just looks like a splash. A networking event here, a gala there, a coffee chat here, a dinner there. But then you realize the sand is thirstier than it looks, because the truth is there is no feedback mechanism that is helping you determine in real time whether buying a ticket for this event or attending this dinner is truly worth it. And if you're in an MBA program, and if you're planning on applying or actually starting the experience this fall, there are 3 questions I encourage you to ask yourself. Literally write out your answers, journal it out, create a spreadsheet, whatever works for you. But think through these 3 questions. 1, am I doing this out of FOMO or because I actually truly want to do it? Number 2, am I spending from confidence and self-assurance or from insecurity? Number 3, do I want to feed status and signal, or am I doing this out of freedom? Because here's what I've learned. You can be smart with money on paper and be really stupid with it during your MBA life. The other truth is, if you are self-funded in the MBA experience, this means that you are largely not on scholarship, you are not sponsored by an employer, and you are fully funding your own tuition. There's actually multiple different costs that you need to account for. And for the record, I was self-funded myself during my Wharton MBA experience. There's the outright tuition costs, so you need to factor those in. I actually received about a $10,000 scholarship for every year as a Joseph Wharton fellow, and so I netted that out of my tuition. And then there's your cost of living expenses. This includes planned enough things like rent, utilities. I never bought a car because I'm out here in the Philly and it's a very walkable and commutable city. You know, food, which includes like dinners, which includes like coffees, which includes outings. The other thing also, guys, I'll say is the easiest way to save money during an MBA program is to not drink. I'm not even joking about that. Because think about it, when you go out to dinner with your friends and people order like pitchers of margaritas, that's like $30 a person right there, depending on how many drinks you have. And anyways, eating out is increasingly expensive in this day and age. And people are very respectful of not charging you if you've not drank and like splitting the bill accordingly and things like that. Genuinely, you can save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in the MBA, just not drinking. So let that sink in. I feel like that should be a lesson. Okay, so coming back to the stack of expenses in an MBA, you have your tuition costs. You net out any scholarship that you receive. Then you have your cost of living. And then you have the opportunity cost of the salary that you left on the table before you decided to get your MBA experience. So doing the math here, if you do 80K times 2 roughly on tuition, if you add in about 100K in cost of living between the 2 years across your rent, trips, whatever else that you invest in, and then if you add in the salary that you left on the table, there are some people that this is almost not just a $250,000 investment on, and these are obviously just back of the envelope, numbers that I'm using here, but it's not just the objective 200 to 250K cost of getting an MBA if you're self-funded. There's also the opportunity cost of whatever you leave on the table that not enough people talk about. So overall, you could be looking at $400K to $500,000 as the price tag of getting an MBA. So that brings me to lesson number 3. You are the architect of your MBA experience. At the end of the day, these 2 years are your life. You are the architect. And here's the other truth that no one tells you before you come in to get an MBA. You can do literally whatever you want. I mean, there are people living on the floor of my building alone who have had kids, who have had literal babies during the MBA experience. They've gotten partners, they've gotten into committed long-term relationships, they've gotten married. Let's be real. There are also 30-somethings who come to the MBA to act like 18-year-olds. So at the end of the day, truly the experience is whatever you decide for yourself. So the next question I would ask you to consider if you're, again, applying or planning on enrolling this fall or currently in a program yourself is, what do you want to build for yourself. What do you truly, truly want? And I think that's a question that, frankly, not a lot of people, or not a lot of us, think about before we come into an MBA. And I'll be very honest about myself here. You guys, I applied to Wharton through the 2+2 program. So I actually applied when I was a senior in undergrad, when I was a senior in college. And I knew that if I got in, there was a 95% chance that I would enroll into the program sometime between that 2 to 4 year deferral window that you're permitted. And so I actually chose to enroll into the program after 2 years of working full time. And the truth is, I kind of never planned my life beyond Wharton. And even those 2 years that I was working full time, I knew that I would go back and I would get my MBA. And so I never really planned beyond that because the MBA was just such a big milestone waiting to happen in my life that I was going to do. And now here I am on the other side, and I truly feel like now is when I feel like I'm actually starting to build my life, and I'm actually critically thinking, okay, like, who do I truly want to be? What kind of life do I want to build? What do I want to prioritize in my life in this moment and potentially in the future? And anytime I talk about the future, you guys, I say life is so uncertain that you cannot get lost into it, but what are some things that I know I want to do in this life? And how can I now best set myself up for success and have a strong foundation when it comes to emotional resilience, when it comes to financial security, when it comes to skills personally and professionally that is going to set me up for that? And what do I want to cultivate in the rest of my 20s? And so thinking in frameworks for a second, I like to think about the MBA experience as falling into 4 buckets. First, you have your academics. Second, you have your social life. Third, you have your health. And fourth, you have your career. And I've even talked to a friend about this recently, where I truly believe that in any given semester, and there's 4 semesters in the MBA experience, 2 every year, I truly think in any given semester, you can only really prioritize 2 buckets. And I only think that you can really truly make one bucket a goal for yourself. And the other bucket is a secondary goal. And I think that's really it. And so, for example, reflecting on my own experience, I would definitely say in the first semester, in my fall semester when I started the MBA journey, I made social life the first bucket, and I made health my second bucket. I would say in the second semester, I made career the first bucket. I was interning during the semester. I was really starting to think about, okay, what do I want to do this summer? And I was just focusing on making money to also support myself, to cover my cost of living during the Wharton program. So career was number 1. And then I would say, again, health was number 2. And as you can see, frankly, I didn't really prioritize academics. I would say somewhat I prioritized it the fall semester, but I just decided that for me, gaining real world experience truly was the priority that second semester. I would actually say for my first semester, it was prioritizing social life and then academics truly. And in my third semester, I view that more as definitely prioritizing my social life. That's when I really invested in treks and travel and things like that. And I would say the secondary experience was prioritizing my health. No, that's a lie. I did not prioritize my health. I would say it was social life and then it was academics. And then my fourth semester, my last semester, was when I prioritized my career. I was working again for a company during the semester, making money to support myself and gain experience in a new domain, in a new industry. And the second thing I would say is health. That's when I really got into strength training and started on my fitness journey. And I would say during the summer, because you also have a summer in your MBA experience, it was career and it was social life. I was working full time as a product manager at a startup in San Francisco. And I was just looking to, again, invest that time in other Wharton people who were also in San Francisco. And in just, again, reflecting on or trying to build these amazing social experiences with the people around me at that point in my life. And so stepping back for a second and thinking about how this might play out for you if you're considering an MBA. If you want to go into something like investment banking, the truth is your fall semester is probably going to be very career focused because that's where a ton of IB recruiting starts to kick off, going into that January period where you start to interview. And guys, the truth is, if you're looking to, again, go into like investment banking, you might sneak in something like gym time, but you're probably not flying to a new country every other weekend. The other truth is also, if you're investing in travel and your social life and even networking, your grades are just going to take a backseat. And that's where you just need to prioritize for yourself what you care about. And if you're going all in on travel and social life, just know that there will be trade-offs. There's no right way or wrong way about doing things during an MBA program. Just understand that and decide for yourself what you value. And guys, I just want to remind you that at the end of the day, you are the architect. You are empowered to set your own priorities and also change your priorities from one semester to another and adapt and mold the experience as you go. That's what I did. That's what other people I know have done as well. You choose the blueprint, you set your priorities, and you get to ask yourself, what season of my MBA am I in? And here's what's tricky. Everyone is in a different season of their life. And it's really hard to know that when you're just looking at a person or you occasionally speak with them, but you're not actually close to them. And like I said, some people have gotten married here. Some people have found their long-term partners. Some people have had kids. It's truly a unique experience, and you decide what is meant for you. And so that's what I wanted to leave you with today. These are 3 lessons that I wish someone had told me before I had started my Wharton experience. And guys, if there's anything else I can leave you with, it's that no decision is a wrong decision. Everything is an opportunity. And rest assured, the MBA is going to challenge you and push you to grow in ways that you can't even imagine coming in, but embrace that. That's a part of it. And if you find yourself in that roller coaster of an MBA experience, hopefully this video helped you and is something you can come back to anchor yourself. So if you found this helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys. Have a lovely day.